I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And today I wanted to talk about something very important to me about how to win a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. These past couple of years have been busting out a whole bunch of local tournaments from card shops that I really enjoy, and I wanted to really, tell other people who are wanting to enter into these tournaments to give them kind of a leg up and what my advice would be if you wanted to enter into these tournaments. I've won quite a few tournaments in my day, and really wanted to support some of my local card shops in entering. And of course, we all want to do well. This is going to be for the people who are wanting to be more competitive. They want to really get into it and win some fun prizes, or even just support their local scene and get better at the game. One of the first things that I really think is very important for people who are getting started in the tournament setting for Yu-Gi-Oh!, Time Wizard, GOAT format, Edison format, and those are the formats that I mainly play, is the first thing you're going to want to do is get access to all the cards that you're going to be even considering playing with. We have kind of like a saying in San Diego in California, that's where I'm from, where it's called like WCAO, where it stands for we consider all options. So if you're even thinking about considering playing the card, I would recommend going out to either your local card shop or going online to like TCG Player, eBay, or Card Market, or whatever it is that is your online purveyor for cards, and either purchasing, trading, finding locals that'll have the cards for you, or finding friends and borrowing the cards from them to either like practice with or play for your tournaments. Not having these cards are very, very impactful. If you don't even have a card that you're considering playing, like let's say as an example, if you need like an extra Sakuretsu armor, or if you're missing like a dimensional prison, that can change your entire tournament experience. And then you might be thinking the entire time, oh, I would have won had I just gotten that card. And I think that is one of the things that is really important to just have on the back burner. Make sure you have a nice collection. Make sure you have cards that you like to play with and the rarities that you enjoy. If you don't even like looking at the card, you're not going to play with it as much. You're not going to enjoy it. And we're all playing in these tournaments not only to win these big prizes, but to also have a good time and have fun. So I really want to emphasize getting all the cards you need before you're even deck building, or as you're deck building, before you consider entering the tournaments. Sure, you can play in tournaments without some of the cards, but that'd just be for practice. But I really, really want to emphasize getting those cards ahead of time. Another thing that I want to make sure that people understand, which I feel like a lot of people nowadays, past like COVID, or if you're just on your computer a lot, is that you need to practice with friends. You need to make friends. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, it showcases the power of friendship, and I can only attribute a lot of my victories and tops to playing with my friends and practicing with my friends. Make sure you have a nice, healthy card group, or try to find at least one or two people that are willing to practice with you, whether it's online, a remote duel, or preferably in real life. If you're going to be doing some in real life play, you're going to want to make sure that they're not people that are going to like talk down to you, but have your best interests at heart. People that will make sure that they're thinking about things objectively, and make sure that you're going to be playing all the cards that you want to win at the same time playing the cards that you like, to have like a good strategy. Another great point is to know your matchups. When you're playing with your friends, you need to know what all the other decks that people could be playing in a tournament. You don't need to know every single deck that's in the game, because it might not show up for the tournament, but maybe look at some recent tournament results. Go online, go on YouTube, go on the respective Time Wizard, GoFormat.com, EdisonFormat.com, see what decks people are playing, and know what you're going to be siding in or out, and make sure that you have a good side deck plan. Having a side deck is very, very important. Plenty of people get away with not having a side deck, but that's not really gonna help you win. That's not something that the majority of people can deal with. And making sure you know your ins, your outs, and having that thought of ahead of time before you're even going to enter in the tournament. You don't want to be on the spot. You don't want to be that person who's figuring out, what do I side deck against Chaos, what do I side deck against Vayu Turbo when you're going to be playing against them. Maybe there's a matchup you haven't played in real life and you need to plan for it because you might play against it in person. In a tournament, anybody can bring anything. So it's very good to just know, okay, I know how this kind of deck runs. You don't need to be a professional at every other deck, but just having that game plan can help you. You can also save time. Tournaments are timed tournaments. Every single tournament that I've entered has been timed, so it's good to play with a nice, fast pace, play with confidence. I always tell my guys that at one point you need to make a play. You need to play with confidence, and your opponent is going to see it, and maybe they might be a little afraid, or maybe you just be able to be more sure of yourself and you might not misplay as much. The other thing that I want to make sure I emphasize that when you're playing with your friends is to make sure that you play against multiple decks. This brings it back to the matchups, but maybe build a deck that neither of you are going to be bringing to the tournament, but it's going to be popular. Making sure that you share it around and be like, okay, you can play against this deck, you can play against that deck, or pass it back and forth in your practice sessions. That's something that's really helped me a lot, especially if it's a matchup that is like a bad matchup for you, or even if it's just popular. That's something that I think a lot of people, when they're practicing, they don't really think about, because maybe you can't afford it, but these are going to be the best tips for wanting to win the tournament. And being able to practice against multiple decks, having that in your arsenal, and maybe getting rid of the cards after the tournament, or borrowing them just to practice with, hey, can I borrow this? Hey, can I play against you? You have a different deck. Instead of just, I have my deck and you have your deck, and they might be like teched out specifically, or they might be built in a way where you don't want like other people to know it. It's good to practice against like the standard, what has been topping, what has been winning tournaments, because that's something that a lot of people are going to be bringing into a tournament. They're going to be, taking deck lists online or seeing deck profiles from YouTubers and making sure that those are the ones that you're going to want practice against, even if it's on like a local setting. Thinking about, oh, I want to make sure I want to beat this guy. This guy's really good. I want to be able to beat that player in tournament. These are things that will help you in the long run. Another tip that I always recommend is play, practice, and try your best to play in as many tournaments as possible. Even if they're small tournaments, little 8-man, 6-man tournaments, that can still be good to help desensitize you to a tournament setting. Playing in the large tournaments will help you get desensitized to the pressure. That kind of like nervousness or pressure in a big scale tournament, or even tournaments that have like a top cut off, not just Swiss, is also something that's really, really important. I always emphasize that kind of nervousness doesn't really go away, even if you've been playing for years like I have, but you should still be able to try, because the better that you get accustomed to that kind of environment, the more that you're going to be used to it, and then the more that you're going to be used to it, you're going to be making better plays, which means that you're going to be winning more often, and you're going to have that leg up on other people who may not be as experienced. So try your best. Maybe you might not have a local tournament in your area. Not everybody can be as privileged to be able to have that, but you might even want to do some online tournaments. There are online tournaments out there. There are remote duel tournaments. There are different kinds of ways that you can practice playing those tournaments, or even do like a mock tournament with your friends, playing with like a timer, or playing with something that'll help you get into the headspace of playing with a tournament style, or having that pressure on you. That way, when the pressure is on, you're able to actually win the tournament and get into that. Lastly, I really want to emphasize the idea that when you're entering into the tournament, to communicate to your opponent. Make sure you're declaring all of your phases. Make sure that you are asking your opponent for permission for everything that you do. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about consent. And so when you don't want to ever like misstep or be like, oh, what phase are we in? Try your best, especially when you are practicing, to tell your opponent, oh, what are we gonna do? Can you make a play? What phase are we in? Yeah, the summon is successful. These kind of phrases that you should practice are really, really important, because when you're entering in a tournament, you're playing for things on the line, no matter what it is, big or small, short or tall. You don't want it to come down to some kind of formality of, oh, I thought he said this and I thought she said that. Getting that out of the way is something that a lot of players who don't talk, don't communicate, don't do that, they're gonna lose because of that. And I've seen it happen. It's like maybe one of my friends didn't like say their phase correctly, or they didn't tell their opponent which monster they're attacking with first, or which effect they're going to be activating. They just sort of tapped it. Making sure that it's very, very clear. That is something that I have gotten success with, and it's something that I really, really encourage to have a nice, transparent game, as well as try to have fun. You are going to make a misplay if you are too locked in, or sometimes people have like different kind of seriousness, but try to have a good time. If you're enjoying it, you're more likely to have a better time in the tournament. It's also a good opportunity to make friends. Even though your opponent is an opponent, they could also be a good friend. Having a great game with somebody can bring people closer together. You don't have to be friends with everybody that you play. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes you're not going to vibe with people. Sometimes you're not going to be able to, maybe someone's not having a good day. Totally fine. But try your best. Maybe you might want to like crack a joke, or say, oh, let's get our game on, something along those lines, and still play serious. You can have the good balance of both. Something that really spoke to me a while back was one of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championships. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. He said, I always try to make sure that my opponent leaves my match with, thinking that I wasn't mean to them, that they had a good time playing with me, but that I can still win, that we try our best and sit down. That's something that's helped me be able to have good matches, because win or lose, that's the cards on the table. The cards will speak for themselves, the plays will speak for themselves, but at the end of the day, we are human beings, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people who maybe might play just online too much, or aren't really used to being social, it's a good idea to practice, because a lot of times if you have like a great game, I found that people, even after the match, will go ask you questions, be like, oh, do you think this was a good play, or I would have done this better. If you're being kind of like a mean person, maybe they might not do that. Maybe they might not want to be like, oh yeah, that guy's really good, or that guy was really mean, I don't like that guy, and that's something that you may not care about, but how you are perceived to the others may help your chances at winning. That's something that I think is very important. Whether or not you agree with me is totally fine. That's just kind of like how I see it, and how I've like gotten success, and how I've gotten more enjoyment out of just playing in a tournament. It's something that I feel like it's a game that we all love, and that I love, and I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love this game, and I want to promote that kind of positivity to other people and make sure that we're all having a good time, because that's how we keep the game going. If everyone hates, or everyone doesn't like or doesn't enjoy the time that they have in a tournament, or playing casually, or trying to get better, then you're not going to want to get better. You're not going to want to play. And that's where that motivation comes in. And whenever I find myself being demotivated, I always think back of, I'm trying to have fun. Maybe I'll play a card that if I am in between something of, oh, maybe I should play this or I should play that, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe you might just go, which card do I like more? Which card is more fun for me personally? I like how this card plays. I think this card is good, and I'm going to enjoy it. Similar thing with friends and having a fun time with Yu-Gi-Oh! You are going to play better, and I believe in you. I want you to know that no matter what level you are, brand new to the game, an OG in the game, in between, just starting out, you want to get your first top, you want to get your first win, something along the lines. These are the tips that I think will help you in the future. If there's anything that you feel like I've missed, then let me know in the comment section down below. I will be happy to, add that in, give you my feedback. I just moved in to a new place, so I do apologize for any of the delays for some of the videos. I'm gonna be cracking out some of these videos, and I also got a new puppy. Been taking care of my little puppy. She's super cute, Ooh. I really, love this dog. I've been teaching this dog Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been teaching my little puppy Yu-Gi-Oh! So expect her to be winning tournaments with this advice from this video in the future. And if my little puppy can do that, then so can you. Thank you so much for watching my video. And this is I Love Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
I've been playing with Judge Julian for around 2 years, and I won this GGPLA mat because of how much better he made me.